Hey everybody, this is HM Family Life. Frank and Angie and adult sons living in Ecuador. We moved to Cuenca, Ecuador 5 years ago. We recently moved to Salinas. Now in this video we're going to open up about our safety that at one point after about 3.5 years diminished in Cuenca. We started getting a consistent prowler problem which progressed to burglary a couple of times. We're going to talk about that today.
We had a change in Cuenca, Ecuador. We did a super job of staying out of trouble for years. We're sort of like pioneers of the branching out from the gringo street and paying all those tourist prices year-round. We were there 5 years. About the 3.5 years we had no issues. We put in all our writings on not to become a target, and we did that very well. We were hearing even our Ecuadorian neighbors were getting robbed. You say, oh my gosh, really? Was it that bad? Let me be clear about why that was happening to some of these Ecuadorians. They were doing things they shouldn't be doing, like allowing people in their homes to view their possessions. I know that sounds kind of strict, but I mean, people come into my home, they're going to see homemade, handmade furniture. I mean, everybody's different. But some people have a bunch of expensive electronics, and these particular Ecuadorians did. And these people work really hard for what they have, and then to get robbed and lose everything, it's a lot harder on the Ecuadorians in our neighborhood that work really hard all day and all week, and then they finally have something and then it gets stolen. So to get to the point, what point? I already made several. Geez, guys.
To get to another point, honey.
To get to another point. Thank you, Angie. We had to get the Califon. I know some of you guys, what's a Califon? It's a instant propane hot water heater. This is how things are done here. For the most part, it's cheaper. It's more economical, I should say. All the reasons why, but things lean on the economical here in most parts, except for who knows where. So we had to allow workmen, Ecuadorian workmen, in the house to get this propane hot water heater fixed. It needed a part replaced. Like I say, we don't have anything that people can come in and see and say, ooh,
Out of sight, out of mind.
But here's what we did have. We had several gas tanks because we have 5 people, okay, and 5 people showering every day, the gas tanks go out. So you got to have enough of them there, plus the gas heater. We had that gas heater in Cuenca on, almost every day of the year, right? Pretty rare that we didn't have it. Some days we cut it off early. But every morning that thing was on all the time. So we were using a lot of gas. So we had to have extras because of all the people in the house. So that's one thing we don't have to fuss with over here on the coast is the gas heaters, for one, which emit combustibles, monoxide gas. You're breathing that, Some of us have sensitive lungs. Okay, so the workmen came in the house, and it was just after, I'm not blaming anybody or pointing fingers, you know how it goes, but it was just after the workmen came in the house. It was a young guy. So we had several workmen in the house, but it was after a particular one, a young guy, came in that we started getting prowlers, which is kind of a soft word for thieves.
Well, it wasn't just prowlers, honey. They took that.
Robbers. They were robbers. They were stealing our tanks. They started coming in to steal our tanks. The problem got severe because they wouldn't go away. They kept coming. At the worst point of it, they were coming 2 to 3 times per week in the middle of the night. And we haven't made these videos public. We will. We'll show you some of it straight on what we caught on camera. But basically, we had to totally change our demeanor towards that aspect. That brings me to so many different points. It's like, what's the future? You get these retire abroad, I call them pumpers because they're talking about how little you can live on, but it's a formidable challenge for those of us that want to stick around, that have moved abroad permanently. I mean, this is our life. This is where we live. We're not just here for a year. We're not vacationing, you know. Nothing against vacationers. I was a vacationer for many years.
A lot of people want to look at that. It's packed all the way to
The prowling got so bad that I was getting up sometimes more than once in the middle of the night, jumping out of bed, startled, running, calling the cops. And
so the bell went off this morning. It's 1:15. Frank went outside because our neighbors heard something too and heard the bell. So our neighbor called, and Frank went outside and the police are here. And now we're waiting to see what's going on. We keep having prowlers, and if somebody walks in front of the sensors, the boys rigged it so a bell rings really loud. Alright, here comes Frank. What's going on?
the wire over here in the corner.
Yeah?
It's bent like it's been stepped on.
You mean the barbed wire?
Barbed wire, yeah, on the outside of the street
Did
here.
you show the
Hey,
cop?
What was that about?
Yeah, I showed him.
What was that about? One of the guys already knows the story?
Cop's been out here before. He knew who I was, and I told him the story about how they climb up the...
So what did the neighbors tell you?
Cut red to red?
Yeah, red to red.
Just these powers, the powers can go together because...
This is really cool.
You're on camera, Oh. I was saying some stupid stuff. Take it back. Delete.
And it was a really tough time of our lives. We went through that for a year and a half. And this was on top of all the issues with the sleep deprivation. Oh, yes, it did contribute. Absolutely, it did contribute to the sleep deprivation. No question about it. So we'll make the videos at some point about the security. Somebody did ask that a few months ago about it. That was right around the time we had to get Delta, the dog. She was a guard dog, and she did a very good job at it, pretty much within a few months, because we got her as a puppy. The security situation got worse in Cuenca, and part of it was because we didn't have the electric wires. I think that the prowling increased all throughout Cuenca.